The 2K World Cup heads south of the equator for the first time this season as we head down under to Phillip Island, a track this series has visited on a number of occasions before. Christian Perez has a standout season so far, winning 4 of the 7 races, but can anyone set up a championship fight as we enter the closing stages of this championship? Hello and welcome to the iRacing Esports Network as we continue our season-long coverage of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup with round 8 of this 12-race campaign from what is an excellent racetrack here down under at Phillip Island, about 140 kilometers southeast of Melbourne. My name is Arjuna Kankipati and I'm joined on what is a fairly cool day in Phillip Island by Jonathan Burke. And Jonathan, we saw a fun race last time out, but I think Phillip Island might produce some too wide action for much of the lap.
Yeah, it's going to be really intense and really pass heavy. We have lots of high speed corners, but also 2 very slow speed corners in turn 4 and turn 10. So it's going to be very interesting.
So far, the season has been an interesting one. On your screen right now, it has been the schedule. It started off at Spa-Francorchamps. We had our one oval race May 24th at the Phoenix International Raceway. But now Phillip Island, and it's going to culminate here, Jonathan, with the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Lime Rock Park, into Lagos, and then Watkins Glen. But Phillip Island here is really going to be an opportunity, I think, for a lot of these drivers to just maybe have a little bit more space, because some of these tracks are going to be much more tight and congested than the one we're here at today.
Yeah, and there's a lot, and again, with a lot of high-speed corners and that long front straightaway with a lot of drafting, like there's going to be a lot of passing, a lot of different lanes you can go into these corners. So this may be an opportunity for a lot of guys to get some spots early.
And last time there wasn't much movement up in the top 10 of the standing. Jonathan Dawes has slipped up into it, but out front it is Christian Perez. And you were mentioning, Jonathan, that Anthony Cat, well, he's had a standout season on the official side of things in the iRacing.com service, but here in the 2K World Cup, he's been struggling a little bit more. And Christian Perez, despite not having taken a pole position, 4 race wins out of 7, is proving to be a very strong campaign for him.
And Joe Osborne, despite that late race crash last week, has moved up all the way into the 3rd position. The pole and the leading of the laps helped a lot, even though he finished down in 17th. Maybe he can get a win here and challenge Perez.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see who exactly can challenge Perez, because that is ultimately what is at stake here, Jonathan. It is a championship. We're in the 8th round out of 12, and at this point you start looking ahead, and it's really looking like a 3-horse race at the top.
Yeah, but the thing about Perez right now is that he has already used 2 of his drops. He missed the first week at Spa, and then he had a 14-point week at Phoenix. So he really cannot afford another DNF or another crash or anything like that. He has to be perfect. Whereas Anthony Cat, his lowest point total right now is 34. He can afford a few mistakes. He can take some risks.
Yeah, and qualifying is underway with just over a minute still left on the clock, and still no one has set a time. And one of the things that's interesting about qualifying in this series is the fact that it's a 1-lap chance to get it done, and that creates a lot more pressure on the driver. We look at Anthony Cat running second as he comes through Lukey Heights down in towards turn number 10, a very difficult braking zone, very easy to lock up the right front tire, and then you come through the second to last turn. You just try and hug the inside corner, set up the last turn. You're trying to carry as much momentum as possible. And Jonathan, the reason why this is going to be so important is that run down into turn 1 and 2 is going to be one of the primary passing opportunities for many of these drivers.
Yeah, you really want to get a good run, especially at a turn 10. If you mess that up, you mess up all 11, 12, and then you have no momentum going down this front straightaway into the first corner. So it's going to be about managing the rear end and making sure that doesn't step out on you.
So Anthony Cat comes across the line, puts himself up into 10th place. 16 seconds still left in qualifying, but right now, I do believe it is Benny Simonson out in pole position, with Simon Edwards close behind. Christian Perez in 3rd place in what is a very strong qualifying performance for the championship leader. But qualifying is coming to an end. As the session wraps up, just wait for the grid to come up on your screen. It's a slightly smaller field than we started off the season, but there it is. Benny Simonson with a 1:47.703 takes the pole position, and Simon Edwards by 0.03 of a second grabs the 2nd position, and Christian Perez on row number 2. Time Simon right next to him, and then looking further back, Alfredo Mallo, Enzo Cantor, Philip Hammer, George Machusinski, Manuel Lucetta, and then Anthony Cat is on the edge of the top 10. Phillip Lebart, series organizers, lines up in 11th position with Edwin Valerino next to him. And you got Jonathan Dance, Alexis Tapio Vico, Alejandro Lero, Rob Adams, then Victor Gugino, Carl Dronke, Chris McGowan, and then Ronan Griffin on the edge of the top 20. Final few cars coming across your screen right now. Diego Thomas Pereira, Gustavo Conde, Danielle Fogarini, Neil Kemp, and the last driver will be Hans Hoyer. And Jonathan, quickly before we get going here, what are you expecting? Cars just lining up here. It might be a drag race down in towards turn number 1.
I'm expecting everyone to fight for every inch they can get as they get underway. You want to be in a good drafting position before pit stops come, and you want to be towards the front of this field. I think if you're towards the back and you lose this draft, you're not going to get a good result.
And it is going to be a 2 pit stop race here, so 2 opportunities potentially for some of these drivers to get that pit entry wrong, and it can be a very difficult entry to pit lane. You come in a little bit earlier off the last corner. There's grass on either side, just like all of this track, and it can be unforgiving. And as we saw in the V8 Scops race earlier today, even the best drivers can make mistakes there, and hopefully get off slightly cleaner here. But all the cars are lined up on the grid now. Engines are revved. Who's going to get off to a great start here? Lights out and away we go, and Benny Simonson leads us straight away, but Simon Edwards automatically challenging him, but they've gone single file out at front. Further back, they're still sorting it all out, but down in towards turn number 1, Simon Edwards side by side with the championship leader, Christian Perez. Out front, Benny Simonson, he's got it all clear to himself. Right now, looking a little bit further back, they're 2 and 3 wide. That's what happens here in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup, but seemingly everyone has managed to get through this first couple of corners without any issues. Down through Stoner Hill now in towards Honda and Siberia, and already Simon Edwards looking down to the inside, which will switch to the outside, but I think already that draft is proving to be very strong, and he's already got the position. Simon Edwards up into the lead of the race.
And here comes Perez. He's going to dive down the inside. He's looking for second place.
Second place, and you can see they're 2 wide, 3 deep at this point now. 3 rows of 2 wide, and Benny Simmons is going to hold the inside line through Siberia. Now they're going to work their way towards Lukey Heights, a very difficult double left-hander. But right now they're all clean, and I think further back as well, they've realized that they can't afford to let these guys really chase a getaway, and they've got to chase them down here, Jonathan.
Yeah, but here's going to be the trickiest part. You're going to go uphill and then downhill into turn 10. It's going to be a hard braking zone. I don't know if they can go too wide all the way through the field through that corner.
Well, they're going to go 2 wide, down 4. I think that was 5th position, Alfredo Mallow and Thomas Simon. But already you can see the gap here starting to form. Simon Edwards has gotten out to the point of the field, and one of the strongest drivers in this field, 7,000 I rating. Well, the gap 0.8 of a second, and that's going to just get chipped away down this main straight, the effect of that draft. But the perfect first lap for Simon Edwards. He's going to lead the field across the line for the first time, Jonathan.
And it was a great start. He got up immediately right behind and was able to pass Simonson going through the southern loop, and it was a good start and a much needed one for him, as he's down in the points as well.
He is another one of these drivers that's having a lot more success in the official side of things as compared to the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. And I believe further back, that's Enzo Canto, who was side by side with Thomas Simon. So Thomas Simon going wheel to wheel with a lot of drivers now, but Movano Racing's Enzo Canto up into 5th position. And so far, it's kind of just breaking up a little bit here, Jonathan, because we're seeing, these little battle packs emerging, separated by, 3/4 tenths of a second. And, that's just going to make it that much easier as Thomas Simon looks to the outside of Enzo Canto, but not able to get that move done.
And Canto has largely not been a factor these past few weeks. He's had a drive-through penalty almost in the last 3 weeks. Now he qualifies well, does not have a drive-through penalty. He can go be a factor. He's already in 5th.
Yeah, and he's always qualified well this season, Jonathan, but like you say, that drive-through penalty, the safety system of the 2K World Cup as you ride on board with Enzo Canto, it's always just meant that within those first few laps of the race, he's had to dive down onto pit lane, serve that drive-through penalty, to put himself in a very uncomfortable position. But now he's no longer under threat of getting that penalty. He can drive a lot more aggressively as well, and that's something to consider, Jonathan, because you can go too wide for much of this track, and he now no longer has that threat of future penalties as well. He's looking much better when it comes to those infraction points.
And he also has nothing to lose in points compared to these other guys. He's already mired down in the standings. He's just racing for fun and racing for wins. So we're going to have to watch for him late if he gets really, really aggressive.
Yeah, and he's another one of these drivers who's very adept across a variety of cars. Movano Sim Racing, not just known for racing in one car, but Christian Perez, he's going to get past Benny Simonson, and so is Alfredo Malo. So 2 cars by Benny Simonson down in towards turn number 1 as Thomas Simon goes
he's off, and he saves it.
Amazing car control there, and very good job as well from Anthony Cat there to not slide into the back of him.
He must have been checking up for the slower Simonson and just lost it going into the first corner.
No,
the back end is way out on him.
Yeah, he actually just looks like he carries a bit too much speed into that corner, and it's very easy to do. And on the newer tire model, you can also lose the grip a lot more easily, but he was able to keep that under control. Back onto the live picture because Enzo Cantor, he's fighting with Alfredo Malo now around the outside of Siberia corner. It's a very brave place to try and make a pass. The camber of the road just kind of falls away from you, but side by side they stick, and they're going to go through. Now in towards turn number 8, the kink, and he's got the inside line, which will become the outside line for Lukey Heights. And this is what you see here in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. Side-by-side action everywhere. And Jonathan, I don't think that's going to be a place where you could go too wide. And Enzo Canti, he's got a slot back in there.
But Simonson, who's already lost a lot of spots, he's going to dive down the inside right here, looking to grab that spot back from Cantor. But Cantor, a good exit right here, and he's going to be able to hold the position.
So from 2nd to 5th for Benny Simonson in the space of 1 lap as they come around the final corner once again to finish the 3rd lap of a 26-lap race. Remember, this is a 2-stop race, 2 pit windows. The first opens on lap number 6, so halfway there. You might see some drivers decide to be a little bit brave, maybe try something a little bit different with the strategy. Benny Simonson looking to the inside, trying to regain a few positions. Enzo Cantor thought about making it 3 wide, I think had to back out a little bit, but he's going to hold the outside line. We'll jump back to the front though, because Christian Perez has managed to get past Simon Edwards, and the championship leader, Jonathan, is now out front.
Pull off a really good move down into 1, just went inside and immediately with a little slide job back up into the lead goes Christian Perez, and now all these other drivers are going to be anxious to get back in front of him. As we saw last week, when he was out front, he checked out.
Simon Edwards trying to look to the inside and forcing Christian Perez to just get a little bit uncomfortable, but that's going to give him the inside line. And you can see further back as well, Enzo Cantor, Benny Simonson side by side once again as Alfredo Malo now trying to challenge Simon Edwards, but he's going to be stuck on the outside of Siberia corner, and we've already seen last time around that doesn't work. And once again, car on the inside is going to get the position, and same thing happening with Enzo Cantor and Benny Simonson, but now Enzo Cantor fighting back around the outside. He's got the benefit of the drag of the car in front of him as they head in towards the kink at turn number 8. But Jonathan, as we approach the pit window here, what would you do if you're one of these cars in this battle? Maybe not fighting side by side, but maybe Anthony Cat sitting back in 7th place. Do you maybe try an undercut, or is the overcut maybe an option here?
We saw last week Perez work with the overcut as Cantor almost gets into the back of Malo as they go into quarter 10. But we saw the overcut work for Perez. I think a lot of drivers are going to stay out for this first stint, try and save as much fuel as possible. Guys like Cat and Simon, who have lost a few spots already.
And I believe there's a car that's in pit lane. Diego Thomas Pereira unfortunately seems to be now out of this race, so that's the first car involved in any big incident here. Fortunately, it's been fairly clean out front, though. Again, they're swapping places. Simon Edwards looks to the outside, and he's already cleared Christian Perez down into turn number 1. I think Christian Perez let off the gas a little bit there, Jonathan, doing a little bit of fuel saving.
Or just making sure like he doesn't go in and slide right into Simon Edwards, because you can see through that corner like how much that back end kicks out. If you take away that outside line, you're going to have to lift more than you want to.
And this car very, very slidey, and it can be slidey coming around this turn number 3. It's just a little bit of a kink, but you know, on this newer tire model, Jonathan, I don't think a lot of people realize just how much you're sliding. You can see there are some of the cars. That's the 22 of Alfredo Malo down all the way to the right-hand side of the track there.
And Perez is able to get Simon Edwards back, and here comes Malo. He's going to try and get 2nd place, but he's going to be stuck on the outside going into Siberia. That's not where you want to be.
And now he's got Benny Simonson looking on his inside as well, so they're now fighting once again. Benny Simonson trying to get back up towards the front of the field, but Out front right now, it's been a real fight, but there's been an incident slightly further back. We'll grab a replay quickly as these drivers head towards Lukey Heights, and this was Ronan Griffin, I do believe, in the 39. I think this is coming around turn number 2, and he just loses it all on his own, Jonathan, and then gets onto the grass, and the 27 gets collected as well.
Nowhere for poor Rob Adams to go in the 27. He was just a victim of unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, you'll see a look at this from overhead, and Ronan Griffin just losing it all by himself, trying to carry a little bit too much speed, and I think Rob just almost followed him a little bit, was a little bit uncomfortable, and the incident happened, but unfortunately, I think that means at least one driver is going to be out of this race.
I mean, damage doesn't look too bad, so maybe they'll be able to nurse it home, get that fast repair, and get back out on the track. As you see, they're 2 wide again going into 1, almost 3 wide.
No, they are.
Enzo Kansas thinking about it.
They are 3 wide indeed, and I think that's Benny Simonson down on the inside who's gotten back to the front of this race. Absolutely crazy stuff here in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup as Simon Edwards keeps hold of second position at the very least. Enzo Canta on the outside of turn number 2, and he's fighting with, I think that's Alfredo Mallow as well. So right now, the top 5, well, every lap is just changing as seemingly the winds just slightly shift here, Jonathan.
And here's the thing that's going to be key later on. While they're fighting, you see this huge pack behind them. The top 15 are all within just a couple of seconds of each other. There's still a lot of drivers that could be factors to get top 5s or even wins if incidents start occurring.
Yeah, 17 cars separated by less than 10 seconds. That's absolutely incredible. And in fact, 16 cars separated by 4.5 seconds on track. So, like Jonathan says, these guys are extremely bunched together right now, and any one of these drivers could win it. And this is where I think, Jonathan, we were talking about pit strategy coming into, being a big factor at the start of this one. And I think when you have these battle packs, you do definitely have to, if you're at the back of them, maybe use the pit cycles as an opportunity to gain a little bit more track position.
Trying to peel off in the middle of this battle pack is going to be difficult for everyone because they're all so close together and they're right on top of each other. So we're going to have to see how many guys go down on one lap compared to another.
I love these shots we're getting up the last 2 corners. All these guys just throwing the car into that last corner, hoping it's going to stick on these very skinny tires. And Skip Barber doesn't have a lot of power, but all of these drivers really trying to extract all the performance from it. But out front, Simon Edwards leads another lap. Christian Perez trying to challenge him around the outside, but a little bit further back, and Simon Edwards going to actually hold on to first place as Christian Perez goes wide, and that's Anthony Catt in the background as well, I think. No, that's the 11 car, Edwin Valerino, who once again, Jonathan, does a very good job to gather that one up.
And how did no one behind him just hit him? Oh, we got an incident. Someone's around in the southern loop.
Someone is around. I'm trying to look on my timing screen to see who that is. I think that might be Alexis Tapiovico. That's the one car that seems to have slipped back. I don't actually see what's happened in terms of an incident, but right now there's been a few cars who have slipped further back as well.
Like the 240 of Victor Gugino, the Frenchman, is also off. He might have gotten into Vico as they were going into 1. They were 3 wide at one point in the back.
We'll try and grab a replay right now. Actually, coming up on your screen, so Victor Gugino was involved, and there you can see the aftermath. The 242 was also involved. We'll just spool it back a little bit further and see if we can grab what happened. And here it comes.
Massive damage on all of them. The 82 just gets loose, and the other 2 just have nowhere to go. It's just unfortunate for both of them. They were having good days just riding at the back of the pack, and maybe strategy would come out in their favor. And speaking of strategy, Anthony Catt, who was in the 6th, 7th position, went in on the last lap, and now we have the 52 coming in.
Yeah, the 52 is coming in. I believe Christian Perez is following him in as well. So it's always nice in these cars, Jonathan, to have a drafting buddy. And Anthony Catt decided to come down all by himself. So it'll be interesting to see where Anthony Catt's going to cycle out in regards to everyone else. Alejandro Lero as well. You can see in the background of the shot is also down onto pit lane. One more car as well. That's Alexis Tapiovico, who was involved in the initial incident. But out front, look at this little battle pack. Now they know they've got to just get the hammer down. Alfredo Mallow and Benny Simonson with Enzo Canta in close pursuit. What are you thinking about here, Jonathan? We're in the middle of the pit window. Do you maybe go a few laps longer, or do you try and come in and maybe just get back into the draft of some of these other cars?
I think that you want to go a few laps longer here, try and like stretch this stint out as long as possible. Then for the latter two stints, you don't really have to worry about conservation. You can just full throttle it and go. So I think that's what some of these guys are doing. But if they want to save fuel and go longer, they need to stop racing each other because that burns a lot of fuel.
Yeah, and it's Enzo Cantor with Alfredo Malo on his inside, and Enzo Cantor's trying to fight back, trying to just find some positions, but I think we're seeing that on a number of occasions, Jonathan. The outside of Siberia, unless you're able to really hold the momentum and hold the inside of turn number 8 to try and go around the outside of Lukey Heights, it's not really where you want to be. You can kind of be freight trained at times.
You just don't get a good run coming out of turn 4 of Honda. So you're going into Siberia, if you're on that outside, it's just not going to be ideal for you at all.
We ride on board with Enzo Cantor, third place. Who's going to peel off into pit lane right now? You can see off to the left, that is the pit entry. In second place, Alfredo Malo has dived onto the lane. The top two have decided not to follow him, so only one car, I believe, has decided to go this time.
No, the 11 and the 93, Valera and Dance have also gone with him. Jonathan Dance stole a 5th place last week. Best result of his season so far. So he could be a factor if he gets out with Malo as a good drafting partner.
Bottom right-hand corner, you can see the track map where everyone is on this track right now. We'll jump back to where Simon Edwards, who used to be one of the race leaders, there you can see Anthony Catt, who's actually in front of him. So the early pit stop has worked for the number 25, trying to fight back against Christian Perez. And now he looks to the inside of Rob Adams as well. But interesting to see where Alfredo Malo, who had a much longer pit stop. In fact, Alfredo, you're going to struggle to see it on the track map, Jonathan, but he's nowhere near these guys. He had a 5-second longer pit stop.
And that's going to hurt his chances a lot because he needs to be towards this group right here that's starting to form. And I think what helped Cat was catching the back of Edwards and getting a draft out of the pits. Because even though he went by himself, there was someone at the end of the field he could draft with.
Yeah, and we'll see how it plays out. We do have a replay for you. Something happened. The 11 of Edwin Valerino coming out of pit lane, and I think they're going to make contact, and we'll see what happens here. He's taking to the long pit lane. He just stops there. And he gets rear-ended. That's a very bizarre incident. And Jonathan, you have to remember, all these drivers, they have the option of using either pit road.
I want to say, like, he just got off the limiter early, the 39 did, and just ended up just tapping the back of him. I don't know if the pit speed limit applies in that second pit lane, but that's a real shame for both those drivers.
A few more drivers peeling off onto the lane, but Thomas Simon is the lone driver, I think, who has decided to commit. No, there is a few other drivers who've decided to stay out with him as well, so Thomas Simon not alone. I think it's George Matusinski and Phillip Hammer are the other two drivers now, and this is an interesting one, and this may be just trying to make that second and final stop, Jonathan, a little bit shorter.
Yeah, because the less time you spend on pit road, I think the better, especially since, you can go down that second route and it can be a very long pit road. It's a very lengthy stop. So just minimizing the amount of time you spend down there, I think, is going to be key.
Yeah, and we jump back to Anthony Catt and Simon Edwards, who've gotten formed up again, and let's see where they come out in regards to some of the other drivers who just came onto the lane. There you can see they're just starting to pick up speed, and there you can see actually coming out of the short pit lane, that's the 44. That's Benny Simonson. So he's lost a little bit of track position there. Enzo Cantor taking the long pit exit as well as lost even more track position. Actually, he's fighting side by side with Benny Simonson as they come out of the pit lane, but Jonathan, we've seen just how powerful the undercut can be, and now it's going to be interesting to see how much there's a car off in the background.
He's still sliding, he's saving it, and it's not hitting anything yet. It's the 44 Simonson.
Well, we're going to grab a replay of this one. Let me spool this one up, but off for a wild trip through the grass, and here it comes through turn 2, the southern loop. He just gets in a little bit too hot, maybe on colder tires than he would have maybe expected, and doing a good job not to slide further off there, Jonathan.
I think Simonson is auditioning for a rally license if he wants to do a iRacing Pro Rally Challenge right there, because that was impressive.
Well, the IRX Pro World Championship will be coming up just in a few weeks' time, and there we see Thomas Simon. He clips the grass on the entry to the pit lane, does a great job not to clip it on the outside there. Got to get the car slowed down before the cones. Does a decent job of that, but we'll jump back now to Simon Edwards, who's managed to get past Anthony Catt, and now this is just a battle of two, a battle pack of two for what will end up being, I believe, the net lead of the race. We saw those cars who did peel off into the lane, and Jonathan, I'm expecting the gap based on the pace of these two drivers, to be at least 5 or 6 seconds now.
Yeah, but I have memories of last week where these two were right next to each other along with Lexus Tapia-Vico, and they just kept going back and forth and back and forth. So you know if these two start fighting, that could be Enzo Canta and the rest of the pack's chance to catch back up to him.
I think we might start seeing what in the IndyCar we would call swap drafting, because the draft, especially down that pit straight, so powerful. Anthony Cat already cleared there as they don't actually retake the race lead, because Daniel Forgerini has forged on onto his 11th lap of this stint. So an amazing job of saving fuel there, the Italian, but he's going to have to come down and spend maybe a little bit longer, put a little bit more fuel this first time around. We'll see exactly how it plays out, because he's only 10 seconds in front of the leaders right now, and he still hasn't come down pit lane, so not maybe the ideal race here for the Italian, Jonathan.
No, but he started 23rd towards the back, and if I'm doing math correctly, he'll come out around 18th and 17th with a full tank of fuel. So this may be a good gamble right now for him to pick up a few points.
Yeah, and you do get points for laps led, so maybe that's what he's trying to do. Every 3 laps led does grant you a bonus point, so that's something to do. And we talk about the championship situation. Well, Christian Perez hasn't just consistently been winning races, Jonathan. 4 out of the 7 is mentioned off the top, but you know, he's been consistently getting those bonus points in qualifying and stuff. And you know, right now, sitting back in 6th, right at the back of this pack that we're watching on your screen right now, looking fairly decent, netting out to 5th place once Daniel comes down the pit lane. But I think ultimately he's just been proving how important consistency and getting stuff like those bonus points can be in a championship winning season.
Yeah, especially the laps led bonus points. Those add up quickly, and the qualifying ones as well. You know, as I mentioned, Joe Osborne, who had a great weekend going last week in a crash and finished 17th, he still got 43 points, which was higher than, I think, 8th place on the standings list. So these bonus points are really, really key for a good season.
They are, and Enzo Canta is going to peel off onto the inside now, but around the outside it will be Alfredo Malo. I think it's going to get the position into turn 1, and yeah, once again, that draft's so important. And this is where I think the draft swapping is going to be important, because Anthony Cat, Simon Edwards, where they're changing, they're, you know, fighting over the lead in one regard, Jonathan, but they're kind of just passing it back and forth right now. They're saying, you know, you have it one lap, I'll have it the next lap, and let's see if we can pull away from the guys behind. And then maybe the last 6 or 5 or 6 laps of the race, that's when you can really settle this race.
It's almost like the old style NASCARs at like the restrictor plate tracks, going back and forth, switching drafting positions. No, you lead, now I lead. And, you know, that leapfrogging could give them a huge advantage, especially if on the second stop, they both do really well in the in and out laps.
Yeah, and we've already seen on one lap, well, Simon Edwards, he got passed in towards turn number 1, and then he retook the race lead in towards turn number 3. So the gap now 3 seconds, and it's proving pretty well as now they round turn number 8 in towards Lukey Heights once again. And this is such a fun corner, especially in these cars. You just can carry so much momentum up the hill, Jonathan, and then throw all of it down the hill into a very, very tricky braking zone.
And a very tricky exit too. You want to get the most out of the car you can. I've seen in like the hot laps and stuff, those guys going way wide and into the little extension there off on the rumble strip just to get extra speed. So it's a very, very tricky corner, and the fact that we've had relatively little incidents in that corner and good passing is really a test to all these drivers right now.
And here you can see the speed already about 180 kilometers an hour as they head down the pit straight, getting all of that draft. Moving over to the left-hand side, and at this point, he's already more than 3/4 of the way past second place Simon Edwards at 208 kilometers an hour down in towards turn number 1, trying to scrub as little speed as possible, having to scrub a little bit and then counter steering as well. That's not really what you want to be doing a lot of the time, Jonathan, on this newer tire model, but in this Skip Barber car, you can really see these drivers soaring at the wheel a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's just because of that rear end. You know, these Skip Barber cars, compared to a lot of the other winged open wheel cars that iRacing has, does not have a lot of downforce. This is not an Indy car. This is not even a Formula 3 car. So you're relying a lot on the tires and the mechanical grip of the car to keep you down in these corners. One thing I'd like to note, Thomas Simon, who was up here, is all the way down in 22nd place.
Yeah, and I think he's actually had to come down through pit road again, so maybe a pit lane speed penalty, maybe on the entry, maybe on the exit as well. And just something else you could consider, Jonathan, these cars don't actually have pit speed limiters, so you know, it's all on the driver to make sure that they control it with the right foot.
And he also, his only draft partner when he came down was Valero and Dance, but both of them got into each other, so he may have been just left out by himself and now has a huge gap to make up in order to even get back to where he was.
Yeah, and the gap between first and second and in this group that are fighting over the third and final podium positions, it's slowly been growing here, Jonathan. They've been very disciplined out front, Simon Edwards and Anthony Cat, just swapping that race lead. Gap now up to 3.2 seconds, and Enzo Canto, who does have a hold of that third position right now, he's been able to hold it for the last few laps because Alfredo Malo now looks to the inside, and I think it's going to be the first time in a few laps they've actually swapped positions this time, Jonathan. So third place right now. These guys are fighting hard and holding each other up a little bit too much.
Yeah, because Cat and Edwards can just go back and forth and get away. They're being really disciplined, really giving a lot of room, and it looks like Canto will not budge to give up that third place position. He's already looking for it back.
And we'll see what happens back down into turn number 3. That's where most of the swaps been happening, but there you can see the lap delta over the last 3 laps. About 1.5 tenths a lap on average, I would say, and I think that's an interesting note because there actually you can see last time on lap 11, it looks like Alfredo Malo was actually quicker than one of the drivers out front. So there is a little bit of back and forth in terms of the pace here, and maybe they just need to get a little bit more organized, because I think what we're then definitely seeing is just the way that Simon and Anthony are just able to get the moves done without losing time, and ultimately maybe in a smaller pack it's that much easier.
Yeah, but there's only 2 drivers, and especially when they're on the same-ish strategy, they can coordinate pretty well. Now you have a 4th car in this mix, Manuel Luqueta, who finished 2nd place last week. The teammates Enzo Canta is now involved in this. He's been very quiet, but he's up here in 6th place.
He's also 6th place in the standings as well, so a good solid drive. And there you can actually see 3 cars in the background as well, only 2.5 seconds behind. So once again, the top 10 only separated by about 7 seconds here. And that's always promising. 2 of these Movano sim racing cars in this battle for 3rd right now. So about 50% of this 4-car fight is Movano, so looking good to try and secure a 3rd place here. And Jonathan, I know you're relatively new to sim racing and iRacing, but Movano sim racing, one of the strongest sim racing lineups there really is. Well, Enzo Canza, 4,000 iRacing, Manuel Luqueta, 6,000 iRated. Can you believe it if I said these are some of the lower I ratings amongst the team?
That I rating, I think, is already about like double my road I rating. So yeah, I would definitely believe you.
Yeah, the Movano sim racing guys really are ever present across a whole number of series on the iRacing Esports Network, but it's always great to see a few of these guys popping into the Skip Barber 2K World Cup, jumping back to the lead, because there Simon Edwards pops his nose in front, and there you can just see how easily Anthony Cat almost just slides back in. He's lifting off throttle early, not hounding the guy in front, trying to put too much pressure on him. And lap on lap, gap's just building up, and it's slowly settling down right now, Jonathan. It was very, very hectic for the first 7 or 8 laps, but I think it's just ultimately building up to what's going to be another sprint to the end in those last 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, this is just a big chess game right now of who's got the pieces in the right spot. And right now it's going to be Cat and Edwards, especially on the second stop. If they both nail it, it'll be a 2-horse race out front, and everyone else will be fighting for that 3rd spot. But if they both have issues on pit road, it is anyone's game.
Yeah, we've already seen one driver in the top 10 of this season having issues on pit lane. It's a very easy thing to do, making a mistake on the pit exit here. They're coming in at a very, very high rate of knots indeed, and then no pit speed limiter to also just force you to get down underneath the limit. And I think we're going to see a few more drivers getting caught out. We'll look back to the battle pack for 3rd place as well, because now Enzo Canta, he's looking on the back wing of Alfredo Malo, looking down to the inside, and as they go in towards turn number 1, the swap for position, unfortunately though now 3.8 seconds behind the race leader.
You can just see the way they're driving too. Like Cat and Edwards are very passive right now, letting each other pass on that front straightaway. You saw it going down as soon as they went down. Malo and Canto went immediately towards the wall. They're being very aggressive and very racy for this 3rd spot. They may have already said, look, the leaders are gone. We may just have to fight for 3rd. Just
taking another look at my timing screen rather, and Enzo Cantor 14 seconds in the box on his pit stop. Well, the guys out front, Simon Edwards 12.4, Anthony Cat 11 seconds. So maybe it wasn't so much just the undercut, Jonathan, here, but those two drivers out front maybe doing a little bit of strategy, under fueling in the first stint of the race to gain the track position. They'll now have a few seconds longer in the box, but like I say, they've been able to slowly just chip away the gap and extend, and maybe, just maybe, they've gotten a little bit more of a buffer here. And even if they're not able to come out in front of some of these drivers with that slightly longer fill time, they'll be close enough that with the addition of the draft, we may be able to see more of that racing like we saw in those first few laps of the race.
Well, the other thing to consider too with the second pit stop is that since everyone is spread out, there may be traffic where they come out. So if it's a 25 second in total stop, as Anthony Cat is in without Simon Edwards, that is interesting.
Just remember, Anthony Cat was one of the first drivers down onto pit lane in that first pit cycle as well. One of the shorter fill times in the stop as well, so having to come down, and Alfredo Mallet goes to the inside, gets back what is now second position. So Simon Edwards, he's all on his own, and I would suspect we would see him down onto the lane the next time around. You can see the track map in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So you mentioned the traffic here, Jonathan. We'll wait for Anthony Cat to really cycle out of the pit lane. He's just coming out now. 15.4 seconds in the box that last time around, so a much longer stop, and he's just out of the box now. Well, there you can see that's the 2:35. That's Daniel Forgarini going to be right behind him. But other than that, he's come out in some pretty good clean air.
And Forgarini was the one that really stretched out that first stint, so he's going to be on hot tires, very fast, very light, so he might catch Anthony Cat here shortly. Looks like the 85 also went off in Siberia and has towed back to pit lane.
Just looking to see if I can try and see anything related to that car on my timing screen, but right now not anything popping out at me. But we'll jump back to the battle for the race lead because Simon Edwards all on his own, coming around Lukey Heights once again. I'm going to be interested here because if I was him, Jonathan, you have to come down pit lane this time around. You were gaining time over the drivers behind purely because of that draft swap, and now you've lost your drafting partner. Get down onto the lane, get that full fuel tank filled up, and then try and link up once again. And I think actually he is setting up. Yep, and indeed you can see he's very aggressive on the pit entry, but down onto the lane this time around.
I am very surprised that he didn't go with Anthony Cat. Those two were working so well together that it might have been just better off to stay with each other than get separated here. Because say if Cat has a bad outlap, they are going to get separated and be stuck towards the end of the field while the rest of them gets better lap times.
So watch the track map on the bottom right-hand corner. You can see the leading pack featuring the championship leader, Christian Perez. Well, they're just rounding turn number one right now. The 25 of Anthony Cat's just making his way towards the last corner right now. So as Simon Edwards sits on pit lane, just waiting to get released, and there he goes. You can just see now Anthony Cat, left-hand side of your screen. He's coming up. And Simon Edwards is going to be using the longer pit lane here. He's got the option of using both, so he's decided to use the longer one to make it easier for Anthony Cat to rejoin, and we'll see just how close they are. There is Anthony Cat, so Simon Edwards out in front, and they've already linked right back up together, Jonathan.
Well, that worked out well for both of them, because now they're right together. They're pretty much in clean air, so they can work together and get some good lap times off while everyone else cycles through. We only had a few takers besides these two come down the pit, mostly towards the rear of the field.
Yeah, drivers like Gustavo Conde, Phillip Lebar, Alejandro Lera, Alexis Tapiovico. So quite a few drivers did actually come down over the last few laps, but we still waiting for some of the leading drivers. But netting out, we're going to be very interested to see exactly how long some of the other drivers have in the stop. The gap out front was about 3.8 seconds when Simon Edwards peeled off into the lane. But Alfredo Malo, Christian Perez, Enzo Canta, and Manuel Lucetta, the top four as it stands right now, lap 18 out of 26. They all owe us a pit stop. And two of them diving onto the lanes, the 22 and the 238. Christian Perez following, and he gets a little bit onto the grass. Able to slow it down in time, but oh, that's a risky thing to do, Jonathan, running onto the grass like that.
You need to try and get every second you can, especially when you have such a long pit stop. So I was cutting it close, but he pulled it off. No getting the car upset or anything.
And once again, watch the bottom right corner for the track map. You can see the 25 Anthony Cat. Simon Edwards was right in front of him. They're rounding the last corner now. Christian Perez has already been stationary for about 8 seconds. And I think if he can be stationary for less than 12, he's a bit longer. Something happened to him compared to the 22 of Alfredo Malo. Alfredo Malo only 12.1 seconds straight back onto the track right now. And there is Anthony Cat and Simon Edwards. So the 22 car has managed to undercut, or rather overcut here. Fuel a little bit less, Jonathan. Now right back into that fight.
He was super close to getting run over by both of the British drivers right there, using that short pit to try and stay out in front of him, but it did not work. But he's now in the draft, so now it's going to be a 3-horse race unless Christian Perez can catch back up.
Yeah, Christian Perez is about 2.8 seconds behind these guys, so he's got a lot of work to do. Alfredo Malo is also 0.8 of a second behind, so he can't afford to make any mistakes. He's got to get right up, and there you can actually see he's already closed up quite a bit through turn number 3, so that's going to aid him. And we'll jump back to who is currently leading the race, 2 Movano Sim Racing cars, Enzo Cantor followed by Manuel Lucetta. They've both been out for 10 laps. Benny Simonson 2.6 seconds behind. I'm expecting also to come down onto the lane this time around, and well, what do you know? Very interesting there to see the different lines taken by the 2 teammates, Jonathan, because Enzo Cantor much more aggressive, and you can already see the gap that had formed under braking down onto pit road speed limit.
I wonder if that was just to make sure they had enough of a gap between each other, that way they didn't collide coming on that high-speed pit entry, to make sure, like, hey, nothing goes wrong.
You never want to commit the cardinal sin of motor racing, hitting your teammate, so I think you might be right there, but watch the bottom right-hand corner once again. This will be the final time as the pit cycle just plays out here. There's the 22 Alfredo Malo, who's already come down pit lane, and there you can see left-hand corner of your screen. They're all charging down the pit straight right now. It's going to be close, but I think these 2 Movano cars have done it. They managed to get past, so they're right back into the fight. The one car on the outside, they're going to be struggling a little bit more here.
One took the short, one took the long. I think that was a good split strategy decision by Movano Racing to try and get them as much track position as possible.
And this has set up what is going to be a very exciting finish to the end of this race. Still waiting for 4 cars to come down onto the pit lane. Phillip Hammer, George Matushinsky, Carl Dronke, and Neil Kemp. But we have the prospect of a 5-way fight for the race win. Simon Edwards, Anthony Cat, Alfredo Malo, Enzo Cantor, who's already now passed Alfredo Malo. So this is net 3rd place now for Enzo Cantor, the 924. Oh boy, Jonathan, we're in for a really fun end to this one.
Well, there's the other thing to consider too. Hammer and Matushinsky went long on that first stint, have gone long on this stint. They don't need to stay in pit road very long. They may be able to get up in this lead pack and make it a 7-way battle.
We'll see exactly what happened, because the gap's about 24 seconds. The total time on pit lane has been about 36 for most of these drivers, as Phillip Hammer and George Matushinsky have committed to coming onto the lane this time around. I think they're going to be a little bit too far behind, Jonathan. Carl Dronke has followed them in as well. Neil Kemp is a little bit closer to the leader, so he's going to actually cycle back anyway naturally. He's actually deciding to come in this time around as well. So Simon Edwards will retake the race lead, not this time around, the next time, and that matters from the perspective of the bonus points. But when it comes to the race win, there it is, the 5 drivers you saw on your screen. That's who's fighting. And Jonathan, something that I have to think about here, we've seen them swap mostly in towards turn number 3. The pass into turn 10 hasn't really been on. I think maybe whoever can get the pass in towards turn number 3, as Anthony gets a little bit sideways through turn 1. I think whoever leads through turn 3 on the last lap, they're probably going to be the one who wins this race.
We have some brave boys, brave last of the late breakers in this field though, and Cat and Edwards proved that last week, so maybe they can pull off that move into turn 10. Everyone up here has been very reserved with their passing opportunities, so maybe as the laps tick down, it's going to be go time. In all of these corners, passing is going to be an option. Here we go. Here comes Cantor, 3 wide going into Honda.
Three wide, and he's down on the inside, and he's going to almost take the race lead, because Simon Edwards slid a little bit on the exit, able to gather it up, hold the corner, which becomes the inside for Siberia. Much stronger line than the outside, and now Enzo Cantor's going to get hung out to dry. Is he going to be able to hold that line, which becomes the inside for turn 8? He's trying, It's going to be a little bit more difficult down in towards Lukey Heights. There also the number 22, Alfredo Mallow. He's looking to try and set up something here. And Anthony Cat in the very difficult position of trying to decide which line to run. Enzo Cantor trying to stick around the outside line. He's going to try and hold the inside now into turn 10, braking deep into the corner, and he's got the position up into the race lead. The first time we've seen a pass done into turn 10. I just said that the person who leads into turn 3 might win this race, Jonathan, and oh boy, Enzo Cantor said, "What are you talking about?"
That was impressive driving, especially out of Siberia. He was not on the preferred line. He was way outside, but managed to hold enough speed to just be able to stay side by side down the straightaway. This is beautiful driving from Kanta.
They've already been 3 wide once. I wonder how long it will take them to go 3 wide again. And there it is, Anthony Cat looking to the inside. They were almost 4 wide, I think, for a second. Anthony Cat on the inside is going to retake the race lead right now. And Simon Edwards holding the inside for what becomes turn number 2. And he does have the position right now. An interesting thing to note here, Jonathan, Anthony Cat's second position in the championship. What do you do? This is proving to be a very, very close fight. There's the potential for some mayhem to happen, and you see your championship contender, Christian Perez. He's all the way down in 6th place right now.
He's all the way down in 6th place, but he can see these guys still. If something does happen, don't count Perez out, especially if we get very racy into these slower corners. Perez can still be a huge factor.
Still a lot of time to play. And Christian Perez, you're right, actually. The gap has been coming down, just 2 seconds behind. 1.5 seconds now behind Manuel Lucetta. So he is really in this battle. And I think all of this side-by-side stuff, well, it's fantastic for us to watch. It's not so fantastic in terms of overall race pace. 2 by 2 they were as they approach Lukey Heights for the 22nd time. A 26-lap race. All of these drivers have made 2 pit stops so far. Now it's all about settling it on the track, and Enzo Cantor holding that inside line again. And, well, Jonathan, they've been 2 wide basically this entire lap around. This might just be setting itself up for one of the more dramatic runs to the finish line that we've seen in 2K World Cup history.
They've been able to clear going into 1 by a few car lengths, and the finish line is not that far away from the entrance of turn 1. It's going to be a huge drag race down to see who gets the win, and Perez is slowly closing in. Last week it was the double file racing that helped him get the win that was behind him. Now they're double file racing in front, and he's able to catch right back up.
And Christian Perez, well, he's just got to be smiling right now. He might have been a little bit dejected coming through that second pit stop cycle, feeling a little bit left out of the party. Well, he's managed to close up in and get in on the fight, and championship lead or not, well, he always enjoys having a good race, and he's won 4 races this season. Be hoping to add one of the 2 stops that we make below the equator. We're going to Interlagos in a few weeks' time as well for what will hopefully be a race just exciting as this, as Movano Sim Racing. Enzo Cantor looks to the inside. Benny Simonson, though. Sorry, not Benny Simonson. That was Simon Edwards really just blocking him off and defending aggressively there. Aggressively like it was the last lap of the race.
Cantor's been able to make this outside line in Siberia work, and maybe he gets a good enough run here, but it does not look like it. Cat's going to be able to get back on the inside.
Look at the shot off the rear of Simon Edwards. All of these drivers are fighting for a race win. Enzo Cantor looking very, very aggressive. He wants it. He sees it in front of him right now. You can hear the tires slipping and sliding around Lukey Heights. You can see just how committed they all are. And Simon Edwards, oh, there's a send coming for Enzo. Oh, he got a little bit deep into the corner there, trying to just clear Anthony Cat for second. And they're still side by side. And this is what happened early in the race, Jonathan. Simon Edwards got out front. He let them fight behind him. And he got out to about an 0.8 of a second gap for just a few laps time. And it's potentially setting itself up for something similar here. As they cross the line, it's going to be 3 laps to go. I'm going to put you on the spot, Jonathan. Who's your favorite to win this race, as they might go 4 wide this time?
Enzo Cantor has been the bravest and the boldest of them all right now, and I think he's going to be the one to win this race. He goes roaring around the outside into turn 1 to take the lead.
He takes the lead, but slipping a little bit towards the grass. Able to hold it on that inside line now for turn number 2, and he's just going to slide up a little bit, cut off Simon Edwards. As there, Christian Perez, he's joined the party and up into 3rd place, and that is a championship fight. 1st and 2nd in the standings, Jonathan. Well, they're fighting for 3rd and 4th on the track right now.
He just caught the back of this group going down the front straightaway and is already up to third place, and he's now going to go very deep into Honda as they head towards Siberia and has a preferred line.
He does indeed, but let's see if he's going to maybe try and also look up in the inside of Enzo Cantor, trying to get up into second place now, because Enzo Cantor once again trying to hold the outside line of Siberia, just trying to test something, but he's able to get a little bit of a run, but they're all getting stacked up there. It was a little bit dangerous just for a second. Anthony Cat almost got up into the back of Enzo Cantor. They got almost 3 wide there with Manuel Lucetta in the background. Oh boy, Jonathan, this is only the third to last lap. They have to remember, they've got to get to the last lap of the race first.
Cat down the inside of Perez. Look at that. Very, very brave by both of those drivers. Perez with a very short line, but Cat gave him enough room and not to hit him. And now here comes Lucetta back on the inside.
Yeah, Cat's getting hung out to dry right now, and that's Christian Perez who's going to protect the inside line of the final corner there. Now he's going to try and just draft here, get as good a run as he can up into third place for your championship leader right now. And we talked about the season he's had. He's won 4 out of 7 races, looking to make it 5 out of 8. Well, Enzo Cantor's going to try and prevent that. He's up to the point once again. He's been one of the stronger drivers here, and it's officially 2 laps to go, Jonathan.
Enzo Cantor has used every inch of this racetrack and more. I don't think I've ever seen a driver in this pack besides Cantor get out as wide as he has in these corners.
Well, you know what they like to say, if it's there, Jonathan, you know, race car drivers love to say this, well, if you put the track there, why not use it? And some of these drivers choosing to do that. Enzo Cantor really getting a little bit loose there, lost a lot of speed scrubbing. We were riding on board with Christian Perez. Well, unfortunately, Enzo Cantor, he had the race lead, and he's now going to get stuck on the outside line once again. This time, though, not because he was attacking, because he's defending, and it's all just something for these drivers to consider. We head towards turn number 8 once again for the penultimate time. Going to head in towards the last corner, I think, and that's going to show the 2 drivers who are going to scrap out front, because I think it's ultimately only a 2 or 3 car fight here, Jonathan. Unless something happens out front, some of these drivers further back, Anthony Cat's looking to make something happen, but definitely in a much tougher position.
One mistake by the front 2, however, could bring all 5 of them into this fight.
Oh, there's a mistake!
Well, Mallow is going way off!
Oh, and that's the 22 car, Alfredo Mallow. He's gone off all by himself. We'll grab a quick replay before the last lap of this race. It was going through Lukey Heights, and maybe a technical failure there because the speed at which he went off was just scary. And here he comes down under braking. Oh yeah, he doesn't brake at all there.
The brake pedal must have gone straight to the floor on him because that just went straight off.
That was a bizarre incident. We joined back right in time. They've just crossed the start-finish line, and it's 2 wide out front and then 3 wide for third place. Christian Perez is fighting with Simon Edwards. He's on the outside of turn 1. It's come to the inside of this southern loop. He's got Enzo Cantor right behind him as well, with Anthony Cat there and Manuel Lucetta. So it is a 5-car fight. Unfortunately, Alfredo Mallow in the pit lane and has had to tow, so he's going to finish all the way down, I believe, down in 20th place. Anthony Cat now looking to the inside of Enzo Cantor. It's all setting itself up for Honda and Siberia.
Oh, watch the Marana cars. They're going to be risky here. They're going to be brave and try and go down the inside.
And they're setting itself up to both go around the outside of Siberia. They're almost 3 wide down into the corner, but Simon Edwards has to back off. So now out front, Christian Perez, well, who's 3 seconds behind a few laps ago. He now leads this race down in towards turn 8 for the last time. Enzo Cantor is in the prime spot, though, because he's going to be on the inside for Lukey Heights. Corner where he's been very strong. Anthony Cat as well, looking to follow him. Simon Edwards on the inside line there. 2 wide, 2 deep once again through Lukey Heights. They keep you all clean. Turn 10, the hard braking zone. Enzo Cantor really trying to go deep, but Christian Perez was trying to hold on. He's not able to hold on to first, but he's going to hold off Anthony Cat, and that is the more important fight for the championship. Anthony Cat actually might get hung out to dry here. He's going to maybe slip even to 4th place as Simon Edwards down the inside. And now it's the drag race to the line, the last corner. It's Enzo Cantor who currently leads. Christian Perez looks to the inside, the outside rather. Then you've got Simon Edwards, but it's a 2-horse race. No one else popping up. There's contact. They make contact. Oh no, there's 4 wide across the line and they're touching. I don't know who took that one, Jonathan.
Who got it? I didn't see who got it.
I have absolutely no idea. And you know what? We're going to have to watch this one in as slow motion as we can to try and figure out exactly what happened here. So there you can see Simon Edwards. He was right behind Enzo Cantor. And I think it was
Perez moved up into Cantor with a little help from Edwards.
I think that was the right way of looking. And there you'll see the back shot of it all kicking off. But I think what it means is Enzo Cantor was the first driver across the line there. So Enzo Cantor is going to take home the race win, I do believe. Followed in very, very short order from Christian Perez and Anthony Cat. We're just waiting for the final results to become official, though. But wow, Jonathan, I maybe undersold just how exciting this race might be.
Yeah, you definitely did. I didn't think you, told everyone that's going to be a 4-wide race to the finish line like that.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff. And there you can see the top 4 separated by just 0.08 of a second. Absolutely fantastic stuff. But it was the 924 Movano Sim Racing's Enzo Cantor who took it from the championship leader Christian Perez, with second place in the championship Anthony Cat grabbing a very needed podium position. Simon Edwards in 4th, Manuel Lucetta in 5th place, 1/10 behind. Oh, that margin, Jonathan, just really shows how exciting that finish was. Then you got Phillip Hammer, Carl Dronke, George Matushinsky, Gustavo Conde, and then Philip Leibert, series organizer, on the edge of the top 10. A lot of cars finishing on the lead lap here. It was a pretty clean race. Alejandro Liro, Alexis Tapiovico, Neil Kemp, Chris McGowan, Thomas Simon, who had a very tough second half of the race after a pit lane speeding penalty, Victor Gugino, Ronan Griffin, Rob Adams, Danielle Forgarini, Alfredo Maloar, and apparently, according to our YouTube chat, Jonathan, that was a hardware failure for the 22 car. So unfortunately, we didn't see him in that final fight for the win, but final cars, Benny Simonson, Hans Hoyer, Edwin Valerino, Jonathan Dance, and Diego Tormes Pereira, the final finisher of today's race.
Whew, I'm a little exhausted after watching that one.
Oh boy, and you know what, Jonathan? We said this might be a long broadcast, but I think we were talking about the fact that it was a 26-lap race and, 50 minutes of racing action, one of the longer races we've seen here in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. And, unfortunately, we don't tend to get too many podium interviews in this series, so just have a little bit of a quick race recap here by ourselves. But, oh boy, from those first few laps of the race, you really just knew that it was all setting up for an exciting finish to the end. You didn't really think, though, it was going to be 4-wide action.
I felt with Cat and Edwards, like they had a good gap going in that second stint, but those longer pit stops, having to wait for the fuel, is what really ended their hopes of just having a 1-2 Britain finish and brought Cantor, Perez, Lucetta all back into the fight.
Yeah, and we'll grab another look at this one right now in slow motion from a static camera right across the finish line, because you're going to see here, we'll be able to analyze it in a little bit more detail, but you can see Enzo Cantor, he's touching that white line right now. In fact, he's blocking off Simon Edwards, who's, trying to draft him up to the line here. And at this point, half his car is to the left-hand side of that white line, but at this point, the two cars, the white and the red, they start going for the same point on the track, and contact was inevitable. And fortunately, the contact didn't preclude them from making it to the finish line.
Perez has the lead right here, but that little bump, I think, from Simon Edwards is what pushes Enzo Cantor across the line. Oh, I don't think it gets any closer than that.
Yeah, the official timing on iRacing is, just trying to read that, 6 thousandths of a second, Jonathan. Just to repeat, 6 thousandths of a second.
So that's about a little less than 1/4 of an inch. And 2 of those cars, I believe, were slightly airborne. Perez had gone airborne right prior to the line.
And you can see it's just actually that nose cone for the 924 car that actually was in front, because in the contact of touching wheels, I mean, that's what kind of pushed the Movano car to the point there. That's what kind of gave them the lead. I'm not 100% sure who would have taken that if there wasn't any contact, because, you know, Christian Perez, he was the car behind and he had the superior run coming out of the corner.
Or even if Simon Edwards wasn't behind Kanta, because if it wasn't for Simon Edwards giving that big bump towards the end, I don't think Kanta would have been able to make it across even with the contact.
So we'll show you the results one final time. And just to confirm, it says 7 thousandths of a second on the graphics. Well, iRacing.com must be doing that to some 4 or 5 significant figures, because in iRacing.com's official timing, I do believe that's showing as 6 thousandths of a second. Just absolutely crazy stuff. And, you know, there's some big championship implications here, Jonathan, because Christian Perez, when he came out of the pit lanes for that second stop, I was thinking that, you know, this is the race where Anthony Cat really puts himself in a good spot to try and challenge in the last 4 races of the season. But Christian Perez, he doesn't get this 5th win of the season this time around, but nevertheless, he almost got to the point, and it's just proving to be an almost perfect season for him right now.
And it looked like he was out of it too, because he was so far back, but as soon as these front 5 started fighting, it reeled Perez back in. He had that never give up kind of attitude, and as soon as he got in the draft, he immediately made an impact on this race. But you have to be the feel-good story of Enzo Kanta. He has had to go down pit road for penalties the last few weeks. He has not been able to really mix it up with these front guys, and the first week he's able to stay in his starting position, he gets out in front, and what a show he really put on.
What? Just unbelievable. I mean, I'll be honest with everyone who's still watching us, because, I mean, when we first jumped into the booth here, I told you I didn't think this was going to be the most exciting race. Well, never been more glad to be proven wrong on a broadcast before. Next time out, it is the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, August 23rd. And hopefully Dylan Coyle will be back in the commentary booth to give my voice a little bit of a rest. But Jonathan, I mean, 2 very different tracks. We go from Phillip Island, which it's not got much room for error because it's got the grass runoff. But then we go to a street circuit like the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where there's no margin for error, because you might end up in a wall like the Wall of Champions.
Well, you go to those long straightaways. Those are going to be prime opportunities for big drafting, big passing, going into those tight corners. It's definitely going to be exciting for sure. It's going to prove who has the best car control, trying to avoid mistakes.
And I cannot wait for that one 2 weeks from today. But that's going to be it from round number 8 of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. Thank you for joining us here from Phillip Island, the one of 2 trips we're going to make south of the equator. For myself, Arjuna Kankipati, I've been joined by Jonathan Burke in the RaceBot TV commentary booth. Istvan Ballo provides all our track cameras. Trackcam22.com if you want to see more information. But we will be back in 2 weeks' time from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Thank you for joining us here on a Sunday afternoon, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time from Canada.